After the Lokapalas had gone away, Arjuna, that slayer of our foes, began to think of the car of Indra, and as Godakesa, gifted with great intelligence, was thinking of it, the car entered with great effulgence, and guided by Matali, came dividing the clouds and illuminating the firmament, and filling the entire welkin with its raro, deep as the horror of mighty masses of clouds. Swords and missiles of terrible forms, and maces of frightful description, and winged darts of celestial splendor, and lightnings of the brightest effulgence, and thunderbolts, and propellers furnished with wheels, and worked with atmospheric expansion, and producing sounds loud as the roar of great masses of clouds, were on that car. And there were on that car fierce and hook-bodied Nagas with fiery mouths and hips of stones, white as the fleece clouds, and the car was drawn by 10,000 of horses of golden hue, endowed with the speed of the wind, and furnished with prowess of illusion. The car was drawn with such speed that the eye could hardly mark its progress, and Arjuna saw on that car the flagstaff called Vaijayanta, of blazing effulgence, resembling in hue the emerald or the dark blue lotus, and decked with golden ornaments, and strength as the bamboo. And beholding a chariot decked in gold seated on that car, the might-armed son of Pritha regarded it as belonging to the celestials, and while Arjuna was occupied with his thoughts regarding the car, the chariot Matali, bending himself after descending from the car, addressed him, saying, "Look, son of Sakra, Sakra himself wisheth to see thee. Ascend thou without loss of time this car that hath been sent by Indra, the chief of the immortals, thy father, that god of 100 sacrifices, hath commanded me, saying, Bring the son of Kunti hither, let the gods behold him. And Sankara himself, surrounded by the celestials, and rishis, and Gandharvas, and Apsaras, waiteth to behold thee, at the command of the chastiser of Paka. Therefore ascend thou with me from these to the region of the celestials. Thou wilt return after obtaining weapons." Arjuna replied, "Mount thou without loss of time this excellent car, a car that cannot be attained even by hundreds of Rajasuya and horse sacrifices. Even kings of great prosperity who have performed great sacrifices, distinguished by large gifts, even gods and the Navas are not competent to ride this car. He that hath not ascetic merit is not competent to even see or touch this car, far less to ride on it. After thou hast ascended it, and after the horses have become still, I will ascend it like a virtuous man stepping into the high road of honest." Matali, the chariot of Sakra, hearing these words of Arjuna, soon mounted the car and controlled the horses. Arjuna then, with a cheerful heart, purified himself by a bath in the Ganges, and the son of Kunti then duly repeated his customary prayers. He then duly, and according to the ordinance, gratified the Pitris with oblations of water, and lastly he commenced to invoke the Mandara, that king of mountains, saying, "Thou art ever the refuge of all heaven-seeking munis of virtuous conduct and behavior. It is through thy grace that Brahmanas and Kshatriyas and Vaishyas attain heaven, and their anxieties gone, sport with the celestials. Thou art the asylum of munis, and thou holdest on thy breast numerous sacred shrines. Happily have I dwelt on thy heights. I leave thee now, bidding thee farewell. Oft have I seen thy tablelands and bowers, thy spring and brooks, and the sacred shrines on thy breast." I have eaten the savory fruits growing on thee, and have slaked my thirst with draughts of perfumed water oozing from thy body. I have drunk the water of thy springs, sweet as Amrita itself. A child sleepeth happily on the lap of his father. Have I spotted on thy breast, echoing with the notes of Apsaras and the chanting of the Vedas. Every day have I lived happily on thy tablelands, thus having bidden farewell to the mountain, that is lair of hostile heroes. Arjuna, blazing like the sun himself, ascended the celestial car, and the Kuru prince, gifted with great intelligence, with a glad heart, coursed through the firmament on that celestial car, effulgent as the sun and of extraordinary achievements. And after he had become invisible to the mortals of the earth, he beheld thousands of cars of extraordinary beauty. And in that region there was no sun, or moon, or fire to give light. It blazed in light of its own, generated by virtue of ascetic merit. And those brilliant regions that are seen from the earth in the form of stars, like lamps, so small in consequence of their distance, though very large, were beheld by the son of Pandu, stationed in their respective places, full of beauty and effulgence, and blazing with splendor all their own. And there he beheld royal sages, crowned with ascetic success, and heroes who had yielded up their lives in battle, and those that had acquired heaven by their ascetic austerities by hundreds upon hundreds. And there were Gandharvas of bodies blazing like the sun, by thousands upon thousands, as also Guhyakas and Rishis and numerous tribes of Apsaras, and beholding those self-effulgent regions, Pihalguna became filled with wonder, and made inquiries of Matali, and Matali gladly replied unto him, saying, These are virtuous persons stationed in their respective places. It is these whom thou hast seen as stars from the earth. Then Arjuna saw standing at the gates the handsome and ever victorious elephant Airavata, furnished with 4 tusks, and resembling the mountain of Kailasa with its summits, and coursing along that path of the Siddhas, that foremost of the Kurus, and the son of Pandu sat in beauty like Mandihata, that best of kings, and with eyes like lotus leaves. He passed through the regions set apart for virtuous kings, and the celebrated Arjuna, having thus passed through successive regions of heaven, at last beheld Amaravati, the seat of Indra. And the seat of Indra, which Arjuna saw was delightful and was the resort of Siddhas and Haranas, and it was adorned with the flowers of every season, and with sacred trees of all kinds. And he beheld celestial gardens called Nandana, the favorite resort of Apsaras, and fanned by the fragrant breezes charged with the farina of sweet-scented flowers. The trees with their lord of celestial blossoms seemed to welcome him amongst them. And the region was such that none could behold it who had not gone through ascetic austerities, or who had not poured libations on fire. It was a region for the virtuous alone, and not for those who had turned their back on the field of battle, and none were competent to see it who had not performed sacrifice, or observed rigid vows, or who were without a knowledge of the Vedas, or who had not bathed in sacred waters, or who were not distinguished for sacrifice and gifts. And none were competent to see it who were disturbers of sacrifice, or who were low, or who drank intoxicating liquors, or who were violators of their preceptor bed, or who were eaters of meat, or who were wicked. And having beheld those celestial gardens, sounding with celestial music. The strong Ahmed, son of Pandu, entered the favorite seat of Indra, and he beheld there celestial cars by thousands, capable of going everywhere at will, stationed in proper place. And he saw tens of thousands of such cars moving in every direction, and fanned by pleasant breezes charged with the perfumes of flowers. The son of Pandu was praised by Apsaras and Gandharvas, and the celestials, then accompanied by the Gandharvas and Siddhas and great rishis, cheerful reverenced Pritha, son of white deeds. Benedictions were poured upon him, accompanied by the sounds of celestial music. The strong Ahmed, son of Pritha, then heard around him the music of conchs and drums, and praised all around. The son of Pritha then went at the command of Indra to that large and extensive stairway called by the name of Suravitihi. There he met with the Sadhiyas, the Visvas, the Marutas, the twin wings, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Rudras, the Brahmahis of the great splendor, and numerous royal sages, with Dilipa at their head, and Tumvura, and Narada, and that couple of Gandharvas, know by the names of Haha and Huhu, and the Kuru prince, the chastiser of foes, having met and duly saluted them, last of all beheld the chief of the celestials, the god of 100 sacrifices. Then the strong Ahmed, son of Pritha, alighting from the car, approached the Lord himself of the gods, his father, the chastiser of Paka, and the beautiful white umbrella, furnished with a golden staff, was held over the chief of the celestials, and he was fanned with a khamara, perfumed with celestial scent. And he was eulogized by many Gandharvas, headed by Visvavasu, and others, by bards and singers, and by foremost Brahmanas chanting Hik and Yajun's hymns. And the mighty son of Kunti, approaching Indra, saluted him by bending his head to the ground. And Indra thereupon embraced him with his round and plump arms, and taking his hand, Sakra made him sit by him on a portion of his own seat, that sacred seat which was worshipped by gods and rishis. And the Lord of the celestials, that slayer of hostile heroes, smelt the head of Arjuna, bending in humility, and even took him upon his lap, seated on Sakra seat, at the command of that god of 1,000 eyes. Pritha, son of immeasurable energy, began to blaze in splendor like a second Indra, and moved by affection, the slayer of Vritra, consoling Arjuna, touched his beautiful face with his own perfumed hands, and the wielder of the thunderbolt, petting and rubbing gently again and again with his own hands, which bore the marks of the thunderbolt, the handsome and large arms of Arjuna, which resembled a couple of golden columns, and which were hard in consequence of drawing the bow, string, and shooting arrows, began to console him. And the slayer of Vritra, the god of 1,000 eyes, eyeing his son of cool locks, smiling and with eyes expanded with delight, seemed scarcely to be gratified. The more he gazed, the more he liked to gaze on. And seated on seat, the father and son enhanced the beauty of the assembly, like the sun and moon beautifying the firmament together on the 14th day of the dark fortnight. And the band of Gandharvas, headed by Tumvuru, skilled in music sacred and profane, sang many verses in melodious notes. And Giritakhi, and Menaka, and Hambiha, and Purvakhiti, and Shivayan Praviha, and Urvasi, and Mishakesi, Dandagauri, Varutihini, Gopali, Sahajanya, Kumbhayoni, Prajagara, and Khitrasena, and Khitralekha, and Saha, and Madhu Razvana, these and others, but thousands, possessed of eyes like lotus leaves, who were employed in enticing the hearts of persons practicing rigid austerities, danced there, and possessing slim waists and fair large hips, they began to perform various evolutions, shaking their deep bosoms and casting their glances around, and exhibiting other attractive attitudes capable of stealing the hearts and resolutions and minds of the spectators. The gods and the Gandharvas then, understanding the wishes of Indra, procured an excellent archia and reverenced the son of Pritha in a hurry, and giving water to wash both his feet and face, they caused the prince to enter the palace of Indra, and thus worshipped Vishnu, continued to live in the abode of his father. And the son of Pandu continued all the while to acquire celestial weapons together with the means of withdrawing them. And he received from the hands of Sakra his favorite weapon of irresistible force, the thunderbolt, and those other weapons of tremendous horror, the lightnings of heaven, whose flashes are invariably from the appearance of clowns and peacocks. And the son of Pandu, after he had obtained those weapons, collected his brothers, and at the command of Indra, however, he lived for full 5 years in heaven, surrounded by every comfort and luxury. After some time, when Arjuna had obtained all the weapons, Indra addressed him in due time, saying, "Learn thou music and dancing from Khitrasena. Learn the instrumental music that is current among the celestials, and which existeth not in the world of men, for it will be to thy benefit." And Purandara gave Khitrasena as a friend unto Arjuna, and the son of Pritha lived happily and in peace with Khitrasena. And Khitrasena instructed Arjuna all the while in music vocal and instrumental, and in dancing. The active Arjuna obtained no peace of mind, remembering the unfair place at dice of Sakuni, the son of Suvala, and thinking with rage of Dusasana and his death. When, however, his friendship with Khitrasena had ripened full, he at times learned the unrivaled dance and music practiced among the Gandharvas, and at last, having learned various kinds of dance and diverse species of music, both vocal and instrumental, that slay of hostile heroes, obtained no peace of mind, remembering his brothers and mother Kunti. One day, knowing that Arjuna's glances were cast upon Urvasi, Vasava, calling Khitrasena to himself, addressed him in private, saying, "I am pleased. Go thou as my messenger to that foremost of Apsaras, Urvasi, and let her wait upon that tiger among men, Pihalguna. Tell her, saying these words of mine: As through my instrumentality Arjuna hath learned all the weapons and all the arts, worshipped by all, shouldst thou make him conversant with the arts of acquitting oneself in female company." Thus addressed by Indra, the chief of the Gandharvas, in obedience to that command of Vasava, soon went to Urvasi, that foremost of Apsaras, and as he saw her, she recognized him, and delighted him by the welcome she offered and the salutation she gave. And seated at ease, he then smiling addressed Urvasi, who was seated at ease, saying, "Let it be known that I come hither dispatched by the unsought Lord of heaven, who asketh of thee a favour, he who is known amongst gods and men for his many inborn virtues, for his grace, behaviour, beauty of person, vows, and self-control, who is noted for might and prowess, and respected by the virtues, and ready-witted, who is endowed with genius and splendid energy, is of a forgiving temper, and without malice of any kind, who have studied the four Vedas with their branches, and the Upanishads, and the Puranas, who is endowed with devotion to his preceptors, and with intellect possessed of the 8 attributes, who by his abstinence, ability, origin, and age is alone capable of protecting the celestial regions like Mahabharata himself, who is never boastful, who showeth proper respect to all, who beholdeth the minute things as clearly as if those were gross and large, who is sweet-speeched, who showeth diverse kinds of food and drink on his friends and dependents, who is truthful, worshipped of all, eloquent, handsome, and without pride, who is kind to those devoted to him, and universally pleasing and dear to all, who is firm in promise, who is equal to even Mahendra and Varuna in respect of every desirable attribute. Arjuna is known to thee. No doubt that hero is to be made to taste the joys of heaven, commanded by Indra. Let him today obtain thy feet. Do this, for the Dhananjaya is inclined to thee. Thus addressed, Urvasi of faultless features assumed a smiling face, and receiving the words of the Gandhirva with high respect, answered with a glad heart, saying, hearing of the virtues that should adorn men, as unfolded by thee, I would bestow my favours upon any one who happened to possess them. Why should I not, then, choose Arjuna for a lover? At the command of Indra, and for my friendship for thee, and moved by the numerous virtues of Pihalguna, I am already under the influence of the god of love. Go thou, therefore, to the place thou desirest. I shall gladly go to Arjuna. Having thus sent away the Gandhirva, successful in his mission, Urvasi of luminous smiles, moved by the desire of possessing Pihalguna, took a bath, and having performed her ablutions, she decked herself in charming ornaments and splendid garlands of celestial odour, and inflamed by the god of love, and her heart pierced through and through by the shafts shot by Manmatha, keeping in view the beauty of Arjuna, and her imagination, whole taken up by the talks of Arjuna, she mentally sported with him on a wide and excellent bed laid over with celestial sheets. And when the twilight had deepened and the moon was up, that Apsara of high hips set out for the mansions of Arjuna. And in that mode, and with her crisp, soft, and long braids decked with bunches of flowers, she looked extremely beautiful, with her beauty and grace, and the charm of the motions of her eyebrows, and of her soft accent, and her own moon-like face. She seemed to treat challenging the moon himself, and as she proceeded, her deep, finely tapering bosoms, decked with a chain of gold, and adorned with celestial unguents, and smeared with fragrant sandal paste, began to tremble. And in consequence of the weight of her bosoms, she was forced to slightly stop forward at every step, bending her waist exceedingly beautiful, with 3 folds, and her loins of faultless shape, the elegant abode of the god of love, punched with fair and high and round hips, and wide at their lower part as a hill, and decked with chains of gold, and capable of shaking the sand ship of anchorage, being decked with ding attar, appeared highly graceful, and her feet with fair suppressed ankles, and possessing flat soles and straight toes of the color of burnished copper and dorsum, high and curved like tortoise back, and marked by the wearing of ornaments furnished with rows of little bells, looked exceedingly handsome and exhilarated with little liquor which she had taken, and excited by desire, and moving in diverse attitudes, and expressing a sensation of delight, she looked more handsome than usual. And talk heaven abounded with many wonderful objects, yet when Urvasi proceeded in this manner, the Siddhas and Haranas and Gandhiharvas regarded her to be the handsomest object they had cast their eyes upon, and the upper half of her body, clad in an attire of fine texture and cloudy hues, she looked resplendent like a digit of the moon in the firmament, shrouded by fleece clouds, and with the speed of the winds or the mind, she of luminous smiles soon reached the mansion of Pihalaguna, the son of Pandu, and Urvasi, of beautiful eyes, having arrived at the gate of Arjuna abode, sent word through the keeper in attendance, and she soon entered that brilliant and charming palace. Upon beholding her at night in his mansion, Arjuna, with a fear-stricken heart, stepped up to receive her with respect, and as soon as he saw her, the son of Pritha, from modest, closed his eyes, and saluting her, he offered the Apsara such worship as is offered unto a superior, and Arjuna said, I have reverenced thee by bending my head down. Let me know thy commands. I wait upon thee as thy servant. Hearing these words of Pihalaguna, Urvasi became deprived of her senses, and she soon represented unto Arjuna all that had passed between her and the Gandhiharva, Hitrasena, and she said, I shall tell thee all that hath passed between me and Hitrasena, and why I have come hither, on account of thy coming here. Mahendra had convened a large and charming assembly, in which celestial festivities were held. Unto that assembly came the Rudras, and the Adityas, and the Aswins, and the Vasus, and there came numbers of great rishis, and royal sages, and Siddhas, and Haranas, and Yakishas, and great Nagas, and the members of the assembly resplendent as fire, or the sun, or the moon, having taken their seats according to rank, honor, and prowess. The Gandhiharvas began to strike the vineyards and sing charming songs of celestial melody, and the principal Apsara commenced to dance. Then thou hast looked on me on with a steadfast gaze, when that assembly of the celestial broke, commanded by thy father. The gods went away to their respective places, and the principal Apsaras went away to their abodes, and others, commanded by thy father, and obtaining his leave. It was then that Hitrasena was sent to me by Sakra, and arriving at my abode, he addressed me, saying, I have been sent unto thee by the chief of the celestials. Do thou something that would be agreeably to Mahendra and myself, and to thyself. Seek thou to please Arjuna, who is brave impatiently, even like Sakra himself, and who is always possessed of magnanimity. Even these were his words. Thus commanded by him and thy father, I come to thee in order to wait upon thee. My heart hath been attracted by thy virtues, and I am already under the influence of the God of love, and even this is my wish, and I have cherished it forever. While in heaven, hearing her speak in this strain, Arjuna was overcome with bashfulness, and shutting his ears with his hands, he said, Fear on my sense of hearing, when thou speakest thus to me, for thou art certainly equal in my estimation unto the wife of a superior, even as Kunti of high fortune, or Sakhi, the queen of Indra, art thou to me. Of this there is no doubt. That I had gazed particularly at thee is true. There was a reason for it. I shall truly tell it to thee. Listen. In the assembly I gazed at thee with eyes expanded in delight, thinking, even this blooming lady is the mother of the Kaurava race. It behoveth thee not to entertain other feelings towards me, for thou art superior to my superiors, being the parent of my race. Hearing these words of Arjuna, Urvasi answered, saying, We Apsaras are free and unconfined in our choice. It behoveth thee not, therefore, to esteem me as thy superior. The sons and grandsons of Puruhais that have come hither in consequence of ascetic merit do all sport with us, without incurring any sin. Helene, therefore, it behoveth thee not to send me away. I am burning with desire. I am devoted to thee. Accept me. Arjuna replied, Beautiful lady of features perfectly faultless, listen, I truly tell thee, let the four directions and the transverse directions, let the gods listen. Kunti, or Madre, or Sakhi, is to me, so art thou, the parent of my race, an object of reverence to me. Return. I bend my head unto thee, and prostrate myself at thy feet. Thou deservest my worship as my own mother, and it behoveth thee to protect me as a son. Thus addressed by Partha, Urvasi was deprived of her senses by wrath, trembling with rage, and contracting her brows. She cursed Arjuna, saying, Since thou disregardest a woman, come to thy mansion at the command of thy father, and of her own motion, a woman, besides, who is fixed by the shafts of Kama. Therefore, thou shalt have to pass thy time among females unregarded, and as a dancer, and destitute of manhood, and scorned as a eunuch. Having cursed Arjuna thus, Urvasi's lips still quivered in anger, herself breathing heavily all the while, and she soon returned to her own abode, and that slayer of foes, Arjuna, sought Hitrasena without loss of time, and having found him, he told him all that had passed between him and Urvasi in the night, and he told Hitrasena everything as it had happened, repeatedly referring to the curse pronounced upon him. And Hitrasena represented everything unto Sakra, and Harivahana, calling his son unto himself in private, and consoling him in sweet words, smiling said, Having obtained thee, Pritha hath today become a truly blessed mother. Thou hast now vanquished even riches by thy patience and self-control. The curse that Urvasi hath denounced on thee will be to thy benefit, and stand thee in good stead. Ye will have on earth to pass the 13th year, unknown to all. It is then that thou shalt suffer the curse of Urvasi, and having passed on it as a dancer, without manhood, thou shalt regain thy power on the expiration of the term. Thus addressed by Sakra, that slayer of hostile heroes, Pihalaguna experienced great delight and ceased to think of the curse, and Dhananjaya, the son of Pandu, sported in the regions of heaven with the Gandhirva, Hitrasena, of great celebrity. The desires of the man that listeneth to this history of the son of Pandu never run after lustful ends. The foremost of men, by listening to this account of the awful poor conduct of Pihalaguna, the son of the Lord of the Celestials, become void of pride and arrogance and wrath and other faults, and ascending to heaven, spot there in bliss. One day, the great Rishi Lomasa, in course of his wanderings, went to the abode of Indra, desirous of beholding the Lord of the Celestials, and the great Muni, having approached the chief of the gods, bowed to him respectfully, and he beheld the son of Pandu occupying half of the seat of Vasava, and worshipped by the great rishis. That foremost of Brahmanas sat on an excellent seat at the desire of Sakra. And beholding Arjuna seated on Indra's seat, the Rishi began to think as to how Arjuna, who was a Kshatriya, had attained to the seat of Sakra himself, what acts of merit had been performed by him, in what regions had been conquered by him, that he had obtained a seat that was worshipped by the gods themselves, and as the Rishi was employed with these thoughts, Sakra, the slave of Vritra, came to know of them. And having known them, the Lord of Sakhi addressed Lomasa with a smile and said, "Listen about what is now passing in thy mind. This one is no mortal thought, he hath taken his birth among men. The might-armed hero is even my son, born of Kunti. He hath come hither in order to acquire weapons for some purpose. Alas, dost thou not recognize him as an ancient rishi of the highest merit? Listen to me, as I tell thee who he is and why he hath come to me. Those ancient and excellent rishis, who were known by the names of Nara and Narayana, are none else than Hirishikesa and Dhananjaya. And those rishis celebrated throughout the three worlds, and know by the names of Nara and Narayana, have, for the accomplishment of a certain purpose, been born on earth, for the acquisition of virtue. That sacred asylum which even gods and illustrious rishis are not competent to behold, and which is known throughout the worlds by the name of Vadari, and situated by the source of the Ganga, which is worshipped by the Siddhas and the Haranas, was the abode of Vishnu and Jishnu. Those rishis of blazing splendor have, at my desire, been born on earth and endowed with might, energy, will lighten the burden thereof. Besides these, there are certain asuras, known as Nivatakavakyas, who, proud of the boon they have acquired, are employed in doing us injuries. Boastful of their strength, they are even now planning the destruction of the gods, for having received a boon, they no longer regard the gods. Those fish and might Danavas live in the nether regions. Even all the celestials together are incapable of fighting with them. The blessed Vishnu, the slayer of Madhu, he indeed who is known on earth as Kapila, and whose glance alone destroyed the illustrious sons of Sagara when they approached him with loud sounds in the bowels of the earth. That illustrious and invincible Hari is capable of doing us a great service. Either he or Partiha, or both, may do us that great service without doubt. Verily, as the illustrious Hari had slain the Nagas in the great lake, he, besides alone, is capable of slaying those asuras called the Nivatakavakyas, along with their followers. The slayer of Madhu should not be urged when the task is insignificant. A mighty mass of energy that he is, if it swelleth to increasing proportions, it may consume the whole universe. This Arjuna is competent to encounter them all, and the hero, having slain them in battle, will go back to the world of men. Go thou at my request to the earth. Thou wilt behold the brave Yudhishthira living in the woods of Kamyaka, and for me tell thou the virtuous Yudhishthira of unbaffled prowess in battle, that he should not be anxious on account of Pihalaguna, for that hero will return to earth a frugal master of weapons, for without sanctified prowess of arms, and without skill in weapons, he would not be able to encounter Bhisma and Drona and others in battle. Thou wilt represent unto Yudhishthira that the illustrious and might-armed Godakesa, having obtained weapons, have mastered the science of celestial dancing and music, both instrumental and vocal, and thou wilt tell him, thyself accompanied by all thy brothers, should see the various sacred shrines, for having bathed in different sacred waters, thou wilt be cleansed from thy sins, and the fever of thy heart will abate. And then thou wilt be able to enjoy thy kingdom, happy in the thought that thy sins have been washed off. And with ascetic power it behoveth thee to protect Yudhishthira during his wandering over the earth. Fierce Hakis Hassas ever live in mountain fastnesses and hushed steppes. Protect thou the king from those cannibals. After Mahendra had spoken thus unto Lomasa, Vibhihatsu reverently addressed that rish, saying, Protect thou ever the son of Pandu. Let the king, protected by thee, visit the various places of pilgrimage, and give away unto Brahmanas in charity. The might ascetic Lomasa, having answered both, saying, So be it, set out for the earth, desirous of arriving at Kamyaka, and having arrived at those woods, he beheld the slayer of foes and son of Kunti, King Yudhishthira, the just, surrounded by ascetics and his younger brothers. These feats of Prithason, endowed with immeasurable energy, were certainly marvelous. What did Dhritarashtra of great wisdom say when he heard of them? Ambika's son, King Dhritarashtra, having heard of Arjuna's arrival and stay at Indra abode from Devapayana, he spake unto Sanjaya, saying, Dost thou know in detail the acts of the intelligent Arjuna, of which I have heard from beginning to end? My wretched and sinful son is even now engaged in a policy of the most vulgar kind, of wicked soul. He will certainly depopulate the earth. The illustrious person whose words even in jest are true, and who hath the Dhananjaya to fight for him, is sure to win the 3 words. Who that is even beyond the influence of death and decay will be able to stay before Arjuna, when he will scatter his barbed and sharp-pointed arrows whetted on stone. My wretched sons, who have to fight with the invisible Pandavas, are indeed outdoomed. Reflecting day and night, I see not the warrior amongst us that is able to stay in battle before the wielder of the Gandiva. If Drona, or Karna, or even Bhisma advance against him in battle, a great calamity is likely to befall the earth. Even in that case, I see not the way to our success. Karna is kind and forgetful. The preceptor Drona is old, and the teacher. Arjuna, however, is wrathful and strong, and proud, and of firm and steed prowess. As all these warriors are invincible, a terrible fight will take place between them. All of them are heroes, skilled in weapons, and of great reputation. They would not wish for the sovereignty of the world, if it was to be purchased by defeat. Indeed, peace will be restored on the death of these or of Pihalguna. The slayer of Arjuna, however, existeth not, nor doth one that can vanquish him. How shall that wrath of his, which hath myself for its object, be pacified? Equal unto the chief of the celestials, that hero gratified Agni at Kihandava, and vanquished all the monarchs of the earth on the occasion of the great Rajasuya. The thunderbolt falling on the mountain top leaveth a portion unconsumed. The shafts that are shot by Kirit leave not a hack behind, as the rays of the sun heat this mobile and immobile universe, will the shafts shot by Arjuna hence scorch my sons. It seemeth to me that the Hamus of the Biharatas, terrified at the clatter of Arjuna's chariot wheels, are already broken through in all directions. We the Haktri have created Arjuna as an all-consuming destroyer. He stayeth impatiently as a foe, vomiting and scattering swarms of arrows. Who is there that will defeat him? Sanjaya said, that which hath been uttered by thee, with respect to Duryodhana, is all true. Nothing that thou hast said is untrue. The Pandavas of immeasurable energy have been filled with rage at the sight of Krishna, their wedded wife of poor fame, brought in the midst of the assembly. Hearing those cruel woes of Dusasana and Karna, they have been so incensed that they will not Avian forgive on my account. I have heard how Arjuna hath gratified in battle by means of his bow the god of gods, Siddhanu, of 11 forms. The illustrious lord of all the gods, Kapardin himself, desirous of testing Pihalguna, fought with him, having assumed the guise of a Kirata, and there it was that the Lokapala, in order to give away their weapons, unto that bull of the Kuru race, showed themselves unto him of undeteriorating prowess. What other man on earth, except Pihalguna, would strive to have a sight of these gods in their own forms? And who is there that will weaken in battle Arjuna, who could not be weakened by Mahesvara himself, possessed of 8 forms? Thy sons, having dragged Draupadi, and thereby incensed the sons of Pandu, have brought this frightful and horrifying calamity upon themselves. Beholding Duryodhana showing both his tigers unto Draupadi, Bhishma said with quivering lips, Wretch, those tigers of thine will I smash with my fist the sounding mace on the expiration of the 13 years. All the sons of Pandu are the foremost of his meters. All of them are of immeasurable energy. All of them are well vested in every kind of weapons. For these they are incapable of being vanquished even by the gods. Incensed at the insult offered to their wedded wife, Pritha's sons, urged by wrath, will Avian slay all thy sons in battle. Dhritarashtra said, What mischief hath been done by Karna, uttering those cruel woes to the sons of Pandu? Was not the enmity sufficient that was provoked by bringing Krishna into the assembly? How can my wicked sons live, whose eldest brother and preceptor walketh not in the path of righteousness? Seeing me void of eyesight and incapable of exerting myself actively, my wretched son believeth me to be a fool, and listeneth not to my words. Those wretches that are his counselors, Karna and Suvala and others, always pander to his vices, as he is incapable of understanding things rightly. The shafts that Arjuna, of immeasurable prowess, may lightly shot, are capable of consuming all my sons. Leave alone those shafts that he will shot, impelled by anger. The arrows urged by the might of Arjuna's arms, and shoot from his large bow, and inspired with mantras, capable of converting them into celestial weapons, can chastise the celestials themselves. He who hath for his counselor and protector and friend that is meter of sinful men, the Lord of the three worlds, Hari himself encountereth nothing that he cannot conquer. This is most marvelous in Arjuna that, as we have heard, he hath been clasped by Mahadeva in his arms, that which Pihalguna, assisted by Damodara, did of old towards helping Agni in the conflagration of Kihandava, have been witnessed by all the world. When, therefore, Bhishma and Partha and Vasudeva of the Satyavata race become engaged, surely my sons, along with their friends and the Suvalas, are all unequal to fight with them. Having sent the heroic sons of Pandu into exile, these lamentations of Dhritarashtra were perfectly futile. Why did the king permit his foolish son Duryodhana to thus incense those mighty warriors? The sons of Pandu, tell us now, what was the food of the sons of Pandu while they lived in the woods? Was it of the wilderness, or was it the produce of cultivation? Those bulls among men, collecting the produce of the wilderness and killing the deer with poor arrows, first dedicate a portion of the food to the Brahmanas, and themselves ate the rest. For while those heroes, yielding large bulls, lived in the woods, they were followed by Brahmanas of both classes, those worshipping with fire and those worshipping without it. And there were 10,000 illustrious Sinataka Brahmanas, all conversant with the means of salvation, whom Yudhishthira supported in the woods, and killing with arrows, hurus, and the black deer, and other kinds of clean animals of the wilderness, he gave them unto those Brahmanas, and no one that lived with Yudhishthira looked pale or ill, or was lean or weak, or was melancholy or terrified. And the chief of the Kurus, the virtuous king Yudhishthira, maintained his brothers as if they were his sons, and his relatives as if they were his uterine brothers. And Draupadi, of poor fame, fed her husbands and the Brahmanas as if she was their mother, and last of all took her food herself, and the king himself, wending towards the east, and Bhishma towards the south, and the twins towards the west and the north. They killed with bow in hand the deer of the forest for the sake of meat, and it was that the Pandavas lived for 5 years in the woods of Kamyaka, in angst at the absence of Arjuna, and engaged all the while in stud and prayers and sacrifices. That bull among men, Dhritarashtra, the son of Anvika, having heard of this wonderful way of life, above that of men, of the sons of Pandu, was filled with angst and grief, and overwhelmed with melancholy, and singing heavily and hot, that monarch, addressing his chariota Sanjaya, said, "A moment peace I have not, either during the day or the night, thinking of the terrible misbehavior of my sons rising out of their past gambling, and thinking of the heroism, the patience, the high intelligence, the unbearably prowess, and the extraordinary love unto one another of the sons of Pandu. Amongst the Pandavas, the illustrious Nakula and Sahadeva of celestial origin, and equal unto the chief himself of the celestials in splendor, are invincibly in battle. They are firm in the yielding of weapons, capable of shooting at a long distance, resolute in battle, of remarkable lightness of hand, of wrath that is not easily quelled, possessed of great steadiness and endowed with activity, possessed of the prowess of lions, and unbearably as they are wings themselves, when they will come to the field of battle, with Bhishma and Arjuna in front. I see that my soldiers will all be slain without a remnant. Those mighty warriors of celestial origin, unrivaled in battle by anybody, filled with rage at the remembrance of that insult to Draupadi, will show no forgiveness. The mighty warriors of the Vrishnis and the Pankhalas of great energy, and the sons of Pritha themselves, led by Vasudeva of unbaffled prowess, will blast my legions. All the warriors on my side, assembled together, are not competent to bear the impetus of the Vrishnis alone, when commanded by Rama and Krishna. and amongst them will move that great warrior, Bhishma, of terrible prowess, armed with his iron mace, held on high, and capable of slaying every hero. And high above the din will be heard the twang of the Gandiva, loud as the thunder of heaven. The impetus of Bhishma mace and the loud twang of the Gandiva are incapable of being stood against by any of the kings on my side. It is then that, obedient as I have been to the voice of Duryodhana, I shall have to call back the rejected counsels of my friends, counsels that I should have attended to in time. Sanjaya said, "These have been thy great fault, that all capable thou didst not, from affection, prevent thy son from doing what he hath done. This lay of Madhu, that hero of unfading glory, hearing that the Pandavas had been defeated at Dice, soon went to the woods of Kamyaka and consoled them there. And Draupadi's sons, headed by the Hiristadyumna, and Virata, and the Hiristaketu, and those mighty warriors, the Kekayas, all went there. All that was said by these warriors at the sight of Pandu's son, defeated at Dice, was learned by me through our spies. I have told thee all. When the slayer of Madhu met the Pandavas, they requested him to become the charioteer of Pihalguna in battle. Hari himself thus requested answered them, saying, "So be it." And even Krishna himself, beholding the sons of Pritha dressed in their skins, became filled with rage, and addressing Yudhishthira, said, "That prosperity which the sons of Pritha had acquired at Indraprastha, and which, unobtainable by other kings, was beheld by me at the Rajasuya sacrifice, at which, besides, I saw all kings, even those of the Vangas, and Angas, and Paundras, and Odras, and Holas, and Dravidas, and Andihakas, and the chiefs of many islands and countries on the sea abroad, as also of frontiers states, including the ruler of the Sinhalas, the barbarous Mlekhas, the natives of Lanka, and all the kings of the west by hundreds, and all the chiefs of the sea coast, and the kings of the Pallavas, and the Daradas, and the various tribes of Kirathas, and Yavanas, and Sakras, and the Harahunas, and Khinas, and Tukiharas, and the Sindhihavas, and the Jagudas, and the Hamatihas, and the Mundas, and the inhabitants of the kingdom of women, and the Tanganas, and the Kekayas, and the Malavas, and the inhabitants of Kashmir, afraid of the prowess of your weapons, present in obedience to your invitation, performing various offices. That prosperity, so unstably and waiting at present on the foe, I shall restore to thee, depriving thy foe of his very life. I shall assist Bahama, and Bhishma, and Arjuna, and the twins, and Akrura, and Gada, and Sihamba, and Pradyumna, and Nahuka, and the heroic Dhiristadyumna, and the son of Sisupala, slain in battle in course of a day, Duryodhana, and Karna, and Dusasana, and Suvala son, and all others who may fight against us. And thou shalt, living at Hastinapura along with thy brothers, and snatching from the Dhritarashtra part the prosperity they are enjoying, rule this earth. Even these were Krishna was unto Yudhishthira, who, on the conclusion of Krishna's speech, addressed him in that meeting of heroes, and in the hearing of all those brave warriors headed by the Dhritarashtra, saying, "Accept this word of thine as truth. Thou of might arms, do thou, however, slay my enemies along with all their followers on the expiry of 13 years. Promise this truly unto me, a promise set in the presence of the king to live in the forest as I am now living." Consenting to these words of King Yudhishthira, the just, his consuelos, headed by the Hiristadiumna, soon pacified the incensed Kesava with sweet words and expressions suitably to the occasion, and they said unto Draupadi of poor deeds in the hearing of Vasudeva himself these words, in consequence of thy anger. Duryodhana shall lay down his life. We promise it. Therefore grieve no more. Those that mock at thee, beholding thee won at dice, shall reap the fruit of their act. Beasts of prey and birds shall eat their flesh and mock them thus. Jackals and vultures will drink their blood, and thou shalt behold the bodies of those wretches that dragged thee by the hair, prostrate on the earth, dragged and eaten by carnivorous animals. They that gave thee pain and disregarded thee shall lie on the earth, destitute of their heads, and the earth herself shall drink their blood. These and other species of various kinds were uttered there, but those bulls of the Mahabharata race, all of them are endowed with energy and bravery and marked with the marks of battle. On the expiration of the 13th year, those mighty warriors, chosen by Yudhishthira and headed by Vasudeva, will come. Rama and Krishna and Dhananjaya and Pradyumna and Sihamba and Yudhishthira and Bhishma and the sons of Madri and the Kekaya prince and the Panchala prince, accompanied by the king of Matsya. These are illustrious and celebrated and invincible heroes with their followers and troops will come. Who is there that, desiring to live, will encounter these in battle, resembling angry lions of erect manes? Dhritarashtra said, what Vidyura told me at the time of the game at dice, if thou seekest to vanquish the Pandavas, then certainly a terrible bloodshed ending in the destruction of all the Kurus will be the result. I think is about to be realized. As Vidyura told me of old, without doubt a terrible battle will take place as soon as the pledged period of the Pandavas expireth.